We are going to study the basic concept of external genitalia. In case of external genitalia, we are going to study the basic terminologies used in male and female external genitalia. Now, external genitalia, they are the copulatory apparatus in male and ovipositor in females. These structures are formed by the modification of certain abdominal segments. In the generalized female pterygote insects, that is an insect with wings, the ovipositor is formed by the modification of 8th and 9th abdominal segments, and its composition is it includes two pairs of basal valvifers. These valvifers bear the valvulae. This valvulae, these are present on the 8th, and one pair is on the 8th and two pairs on the 9th abdominal appendages. And third is the female gonopore, that is the opening. It is usually on or posterior to the 8th or 9th segment. The male copulatory apparatus is penis or adyagus. The adyagus is a term which is used in male external genitalia and is usually born on 9th abdominal segment. So first of all, we will start with the female external genitalia. So as I have told you, it consists of three pairs of valves which will form the ovipositor. So the degree of development and co-adaptation of these valves varies according to the way how the female is laying eggs. So the female insects deposit their eggs in one of the three ways that we are going to talk about. That is, she can lay directly from the external opening of the reproductive system, or by the use of tubular reversible abdomen, and by use of an ovipositor, which is very important. And it is the basically it is the prototypic method of insects, that is laying eggs through ovipositor. So for example, columbola, it is an apterygote insect. It lays eggs directly from the genital opening because at no point in their phylogeny she has an ovipositor. And in case of moths lay eggs in the same way because the ovipositor has been lost in them also. So as we go with few examples, for example, in case of Thysanurans, as we know, it includes the Lepisma. They have a generalized structure of female genitalia. They have a primitive ovipositor, and it is composed of paired appendages. So there are paired appendages born on the venter of the 8th and 9th abdominal segment. So as you can see in this, this is an example of a Thysanura. So in this, each appendage is also known as gonapophysis. This is a terminology you can call appendage or gonapophysis or valvulae. Valvulae is also a term for the same. They are present on the basal coxopodite. Again, it is a new term, coxopodite or gonocoxe. They are the same words, which may or may not bear stylus. So stylus may be, as you can see here, stylus is present. So it is not compulsory that stylus may be present or it may be absent. The second gonapophysis, of the two sides of right and left sides, they get joined with each other to form a tube through which the eggs are laid, through which the eggs passes and are laid. So at the base of this is an ovipositor, as you can see, this is the base and this is the apex. So at the base of ovipositor there is a very small scleroid which is known as gonangulum. Gonangulum is derived from the anterior part of exopodite of ninth segment. So every segment has a podite, exopodite, endopodite, and lateral sides. So from the outer podite of the ninth segment, gonangulum, it arises and it articulates with the second gonocoxe and tergum of the ninth segment. So this is the modification is in case of Thysanura. Next we come to the if we talk about the Orthoptera, insects of order Orthoptera. So basically the ovipositor of Orthopterans, they represent the basic pattern, but it is advanced. It is the more advanced of pterygote insects, as we have previously talked about the apterygote orders. So it is composed of again gonocoxe. Okay, it is again composed of a gonocoxe or coxe or valvifers, and these are present on 8th and 9th segments. They have three processes. Now this is a variation. They have three processes, elongated processes, first, second, and third valvulae. So every valvifer will have a valvulae. Here there are three valvulae. Now in some orthopterans only two pairs of valvulae are present instead of three, and it is the second pair that is absent. So out of the three, second is absent in some. And in case of locust, what is the modification? Third pair of valvulae is blade like. So it is different from others, like it is not unsheathing the distal part of the ovipositor shaft as it is doing in other higher insects. So here we can see it is a cirrus sac, it is the ovipositor. So basically we are talking of this ovipositor and other and the structures such as valvifer and valvulae in case of orthopteran. Come to the hymenopteron. In case of honeybees, wasps and insects, they have full set of 6 valvulae. So they have the most advanced, and variation is found in this order. Total there are 6 valvulae. So for example, in case of sawfly, so basic structure of ovipositor is similar to that of other hymenopterans such as honeybees, wasps and ants, but the difference is that the ovipositor of sawfly, it has a different form as compared to that of typical hymenopteran ovipositor, which is actually long and slender. So this there comes the difference in case of sawfly. Um, in the shaft is here is composed of two pairs, first and second pairs of valvulae. Actually there are 6 valvulae, that is there are 3 pairs, but the shaft is composed of first and second pairs of valvulae. It is short and it is broad with a acute apex and with along with the lateral ridges. So it is actually ensheathed between the third pair of valvulae. So they are enclosed between the third pair of valvulae. So here you can see 3 pairs of valvulae in case of sawfly. So this is the valvifer 1, and this is a valvifer 2, and three total 6 valvulae of each side. In case of hymenopterans only, as we are well versed with the honeybees and their stinging apparatus. So what is the stinging apparatus? The ovipositor, it is specialized as a stinging apparatus. Instead of being egg laying organ, it is now a stinging apparatus. And stinging apparatus, the composition, it consists of ovipositor. Okay, it is ovipositor plus the adjoining sclerites of ninth tergum plus the spirocular plates of eighth tergum. So in total it is composed of ovipositor plus a part of ninth tergum plus a part of eighth tergum. So these three are the involved in the formation of a stinging apparatus. Now the anterior pair of valvulae, they are forming a lancet, and lancet is modified for introducing the liquid venom through this shaft. So the liquid will pour through this pair of valvulae. The posterior valvulae, they are united to form a trough like organ, and the proximal part of which it is swollen, just like we have injection. The proximal part is swollen to form a bulb like base, and the distal part is slender. So this part, this I am talking about, this is the proximal part which is bulbous, and this is the slender part which is the stylet. And this is the poison gland here at the base, and this is a tergum ninth. Gonococci are there, gonococci number 2 and gonopocci number gonapophysis number 2, which is bearing a stylet. Okay, and now venom is discharged into the base of the bulb. So here you will get the poison. It is first discharged here, and then through the lancet it is inserted. So when the honeybee is worker bee is at rest, the sting is actually retracted into the seventh tergum. So seventh, eighth, ninth, so it is retracted into the seventh tergum. And when it has to sting, during the stinging process, the sting is pushed out of the chamber and it is deflected at the right angle. So the eggs, and now what happens with the eggs, because it is not helping the eggs to be laid. So the eggs are pushed out not through the lumen of the shaft, it is not coming out through the shaft as in non-stinging hymenoptera. So in case of other hymenopteras which are not stinging, the eggs, they come out of the lumen of the shaft, but here the shaft is playing another role in stinging apparatus. So here they are ejected through the gonopore, which is present at the base of the ovipositor. So this is a difference between the honeybee, which has an stinging apparatus, and between the other hymenopterans which do not have the stinging apparatus. Next is the in case of houseflies, as you generally see houseflies in your homes, the ovipositor is absent. The ovipositor is totally absent, and for egg laying, the posterior abdominal segments, they are telescopic, as you can see, they are telescopic, these segments, and they are projected, so the eggs are discharged from the gonopore. So these abdominal segments, they behave as a ovipositor. So these are the variations Hymenopterans. Now we come to the male external genitalia. The male external genitalia, the purpose is to hold the female genitalia for insemination, for sperm transfer. So the main organs of male genitalia in case of advanced pterygotes, as we can see Hymenoptera, Lepidoptera, Coleoptera, what are they composed of? They are composed of the movable appendages because they have to inseminate the female. Movable appendages, or they are known as plates, and they are present at the ninth. Again, the segment is at the ventro-posterior surface of the ninth segment. So they are for holding the female. They are known as the claspers, or harpogones, or subgenital plates, or phallomeres, or phallic lobes, or phallus, or gonapophysis. So these are the different terms which has been used by different taxonomists for defining, or terminology which has been used by different entomologists, taxonomists, to define these terminology in the male external genitalia. So if I take the term phallic lobes, so the main part is the phallic lobes. So phallic lobes, they divide to form two types of uh, structures. One is the inner mesomeres, and outer they are parameres. So the again very important, outer are parameres and inner are mesomeres. Now mesomeres, they unite to form an adiagus. So adiagus, we have used the synonym for penis. Okay, so we have now adiagus and we have parameres. Adiagus and parameres have been formed from the phallic lobes. Now the if we talk about the adiagus, so adiagus has the two parts. Now the inner wall of the distal part of this adiagus is in continuation with the ejaculatory duct. So this part now is called as endophallus. Now this is known as endophallus. So the opening of duct, the duct which is opening at the tip of the adiagus, this duct is known as phallotreme. So we have exact terminology for the main genitalia. Next we come to the gonopore. The male genital gonopore is, this opening is present at the junction of the ejaculatory duct and endophallus. This one, endophallus, and therefore the opening is internal. It is not external. But in many insects, this duct can be seen opening externally during copulation. So now the parameres, when you dissect any insect external male genitalia, you will see the claspers. So actually what are these claspers? These are the parameres which are developed into the claspers, and which are very variable in form and shape in different kinds of. So these are the different pictures which are showing the origin and modifications of male genitalia, and figure number A is of gonapophysis of 8th segment. Okay, these are the first gonopods, and then B figure is second, these are the second gonopods. So first is this one, first gonopod of 8 segments. This is the second gonopods. In case of Thysanura, it has a bristle-like stylus. In case of Thysanura, we have adiagus and gonapophysis 2. This is sternite number 9. This is sternite number 8, and it has gonapophysis number 1. Again, stylus is there, but this is in case of Thysanura, wingless insects. The C part is, it is in case of cockroach, and D is in case of mosquito. So next is I'm going to explain these figures one by one. So first we will talk about the Thysanura. In case of Thysanura, now remember Thysanura is a wingless insect. So in this case, and it is a primitive order, the genitalia are very simple in structure. The phallus, the main organ, the phallus, is differentiated into two parts, proximal and distal. Proximal is known as phallobase and distal is known as simple adiagus. So in case of B part, this is of Thysanura. So this is the distal part, which is adiagus, and the proximal part will be known as the phallobase. So the coccytes, the coxa parts of the ninth sternum, they are prolonged into a, see, you can see they are prolonged into the long appendages, slender appendages. These are finger-like stylus, and which acts like claspers for holding the female. So this figure is of Thysanurans. Next, we come to the orthopteran and dictropteran. So we are talking about grasshoppers and cockroaches. If we take these examples, they have deviated from the basic pattern of male genitalia. In what? In that the phallomeres, they do, as they were forming typical adiagus and parameres, here they do not form a typical adiagus and parameres. So this is the first differentiation. Here what happens is the phallic lobes, they are in three in number. First difference is that they become three in number, and the center one, the median one, is the adiagus. Okay, so second difference is that. So the remaining two parameres, one is the right one and one is the left one. So in case of, we are talking in case of cockroaches, so the right one is complex in case of cockroaches, Dictyopteras. Complexity in having what, they have the basal paired plates, they have paired plates, they are opposing each other along with the distal plates. The proximal part of this distal plate, it shows serrations, it is serrated and also bears a hook. The proximal part is serrated and the distal part has a hook. So this is a modification in right paramere of Dictroptera. In case of left side of left paramere, it is very important. It is composed of four structures. As you can see in the labeling, it is the hooked. First is the titillator, then second is the pseudopenis. This structure is the pseudopenis. Third is the spiny structure, aspirate lobe, there is a lobe. Okay, and there is a lobe, and there is a fourth structure which is hooked acutolobus. So these two parts are not labeled here basically, so two are here. So what is the difference between here? In case of Dictroptera, the median one, it has phallic lobes, has three, they are three in number. The center one is the adiagus. The right one, the right paramere in case of Dictyopterans, it bears the proximal and distal part. The proximal part of this plate is serrated, it is with serrations. Serrations are like this, these kind of structures, and the distal part has a hook. The left paramere is composed of, it is also modified, and it has four processes: titillator, which is hooked, a slender pseudopenis, an aspirate lobe, and a hooked acutolobus. So the Dictoptera. Now we come to the Diptera, in which we have two flies and mosquitoes. The genitalia are very complicated, but the interesting thing in them is that the terminal segments, that is the 8th and the 9th segment, they are rotated at about 180 or 360 degree. So the orientation of the genitalia, the positioning of genitalic organs are changed. So for example, in case of mosquitoes, the terminal segments are rotated at 180 degree soon after their emergence. So in this case, what happens is the adiagus, when it is rotated at 180 degree, the adiagus comes to lie above the anus. Otherwise, it is below the anus. Adiagus is so, and the position of hindgut is also twisted over the reproductive ducts. So this is a co-adaptation. It has occurred according to variations, according to the habit and habitats of a particular insect. In case of house flies, what happens is the terminal segments have rotated through 360 degree. So when it has rotated through 360 degree, the genitalia are in normal position. Though this movement has been indicated by some asymmetry of the sclerites, we can see through the asymmetry of sclerites that yes, some rotation has occurred, and also by the asymmetry of ejaculatory duct, the looping of this duct is also changed. But the genitalia positions, the position of the genitalic organs, they remain the same because the degree is 360 degree. Now these were the basic terminologies of the external genitalia of male and female. So now in case of insects, journal methodology which is followed for preparing a genitalia slide is that we just first of all detach the abdomen of a particular insect, and then we use 10% potassium hydroxide and we potash it for 50 to 60 minutes at 60-degree temperature, or we can also boil it depending on the abdominal sclerites, which kind of insect is that. Then we wash that abdomen. After potashing, we wash that in water, and then we dissect that abdomen because it becomes now soft and we can easily remove the outer sclerites. Now we dissect the abdomen in 30% alcohol, and then upgradation of alcohol is made: 30, 50, 70, and then we have 70. After we have 90% alcohol, then absolute alcohol clearing is done in clove oil, and then extra material is also removed in clove oil also, and then we mount on the Canada balsam. In case of butterflies or moths, normally the female slides are mounted on the flat slides that we usually use, and but in case of males, since the male genitalia, the gonopore is rounded in shape, so it becomes difficult to mount a cover slip on particular slides. So these are the special cavity slides which are available, and we use cavity slides for mounting the male genitalia. This is I am just giving you some example of one of the example of this particular insect. This is the external genitalia of, this is a Perillus bioculatus. It is a bug. It is a predatory bug. Belongs to the order Heteroptera and family Pentatomidae. It is a two-spotted stink bug. It is a stink bug, that is why it is a Pentatomidae, or it is also known as double-eyed soldier bug. Soldier is because it is a predaceous Asopine bug which is native to North America. So it is why it is important, because it was introduced in Europe from America as a biological and control agent to control Colorado potato beetle Leptino tarsa decilineata. So that is why it is of very important economic importance. Other than to control this beetle, it is also predations on larvae of various butterflies and moths. So that is why I am going to show the slides of external genitalia of male and female of this particular. See the first male genitalia. Now this is a figure number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So it is in sequence, though I am first talking about the male genitalia. The male genitalia starts from figure number 3, 4, 5, and 6. So in case of pygophore, this is the pygophore. This is the external genitalia of any bug, of any stink bug. We call it pygophore. So it is broader than the length, and you can see, if I use the eraser, the lateral margins, these are the sinuous. These are the DLL, means dorsolateral lobes. These are quite narrow and they are curved, you can see inside, right? And they are sinuous, they are sinuate in nature. And if it second part is the paramere, as we are talking about. So this part, you can see this, we have taken out this part, and this is the paramere. And you can see it has a stem, short stem, and it has a, this is a blade, broad blade, squarish. It is squarish as one end, and it has a spiny nature in the uh, distal end. Now third part of the male genitalia is edegus. This is a dorsal view and this is a ventral view of edegus. So in case of edegus, what we can see, this is a theca. The entire structure is known as the theca, and the theca is, you can see, it is oval in shape, and it consists of thecal appendages. These are the thecal appendages that you can see. And then this is a membranous structure, DLMC. These are the dorsolateral membranous conjunctival appendages. And vesica, the internal tube is there, as you can, if you can see this part particular, this is center region. 1 minute, this is the vesica. Okay, this is the vesica. Center region, this is a vesica, and it is moderately long, but it is not crossing the thecal appendages. So basic purpose is to show you the various parts of external genitalia of any stink bug. You will see a pygophore is there. Inside a pygophore you will see a pair of paramere. This is the isolated paramere, one of the paramere, and right and left paramere are there, and there is a structure inside. In the center it is the edegus. So basically the male genitalia is composed of three parts. The main chamber is pygophore, and for clasping organs there are edegus, sorry, parameres, and the other is the edegus. So in case of female spermatheca, as you can see, this is the spermathecal bulb. This is a bulb, and it is composed of the spermathecal duct. So this is the entire spermathecal duct. Okay, so this part is the distal and proximal parts, and this is the spermathecal bulb, and this is the median region, pump region. This is the, so the, as you can see from the diagram, the length of the ducts, the length of the ducts of proximal and distal ducts, you can see the proximal duct is twice longer as compared to the distal spermathecal duct. So this, see, this short one is the distal spermathecal duct. This is this. Let me mark this first of all. Okay, see, this is the short, this is the distal spermathecal duct, and this is the entire is the proximal spermathecal duct. As you can see, the proximal is twice as longer than the distal spermathecal duct. So the purpose is that in case of bugs, the female genitalia, when you will dissect the particular bug, you will see two parts. You will see a genital plate, which is the female genital plate, and in which you will see first gonococci, second gonococci, eighth and ninth paratergites. In addition, you will also dissect and see the structure of a spermatheca, which will be composed of the parts distal and proximal flanges. Pump region is there, spermathecal bulb is there, and you have the ducts, spermathecal proximal and distal spermathecal duct. So this is all about the male and female external genitalia of